want to invite up now some of my father's favorite singers. You'll notice in the program that Chazan Elliott Vogel left Congregation of Bethel in South Orange, New Jersey some years ago. He assumed his pulpit at Har Zion in 1991. And yet, Karen and Elliott Vogel have remained connected and close to the South Orange Jewish community, and particularly to my parents, their most beloved. Harry Fine had big shoes to fill also. When he came to Congregation Bethel, and he and my father were wonderful partners together on the pulpit for many years. We have many, many fond memories. And I know Mickey is listening from Israel in the live stream. Hello, Mickey. Rabbi Cantor Lenny Mandel knew my father before he knew me, and I feel quite sure that I owe my pulpit at Congregation B'nai Israel in Emerson in part to that fact. They were friends, they knew each other through the Olam Shalom Bethel connection, and we couldn't imagine this event without him. He came here, though a little bit sick today. You'll hear him with one vocal cord tied behind his back. Those are just fine. The accompanist is one of my favorites, Dr. Raphael Orenstein, who moonlights as a physician. But his great love is playing for Chazan. And you're the only one who left at that joke. You'll hear some of his many talents today. He's also the composer of the last piece. Our music for tonight, this afternoon, rather, beginning with Elliott Vogel.
I have to say just a couple of words. Several weeks ago, when Debbie left a phone message on my answering machine asking me to participate in this event, she also asked me to contribute to a website in which she was collecting stories of experiences of Rabbi Yechiel Orenstein. And we were getting ready for a trip to go visit our daughter in Israel, and I used that as an excuse not to add to that website. And then when we came back this past Monday night, this past week, I said, well, we're just getting over our trip to Israel. The truth of the matter is that I find the task utterly too daunting, because if one were to ask me what did I learn as a professional, as a clay kodesh in this world, I would say, what did I not learn from Yechiel Orenstein? Too many volumes would be filled. The song that I'm going to sing today sort of speaks to that subject just a bit. We are, of course, celebrating the scholarship fund for the Solomon Schechter School of Bergen County. And this is a house that many of you in this room care very deeply about, and care about building a house transmitting values that will go on and make great shoes for the future. Yechiel Orenstein taught me about building structures in life that were not physical, but metaphysical, and that's what this song is about.
Will you build me a house that really will be mine? Then let me give you my design, a simple scheme of the house I dream. house of love, and paint my house with trusting, and warm it with the warmth of your heart. Make the floor of faith, make the walls of truth, put a roof of peace above. Only build my house of
Pick one song to sing on this occasion. I've spent the last 20 years, I've said many times, trying to emulate who you feel. You're one of the finest people that I know. And I've chosen a song about Israel, Jerusalem, because I know you come from a family that loves Eretz Israel. Your mother went 50 times or so giving tzedakah in many different ways. And you yourself have had congregational trips and gone to Israel. And I remember you brought money for bikes to deliver to those in need. So this is one of my favorite songs about Jerusalem. And let me just, it's a text by Hamieri. It's a great text. So let me just read it in translation for you. Above the heights of Mount Scopus, I bow down to you. Above the heights of Mount Scopus, peace to you, Jerusalem. For 100 generations I dreamt of you to reach to see the light in your face. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, light up your face to your son. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, from ruins I rebuild. Above the heights of Mount Scopus, peace to you, Yerushalayim. Thousands of exiles from all parts of the world lift their eyes to you. Thousands of blessings, be blessed as a king sanctifies a royal city. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, ani lo azuz mipo, I'll never leave here. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, yavo HaMashiach, yavo. Messiah will come, will come.
me
had a rabbi once tell me, I don't know what this is called, chazanim zanin aranim. For those of you who don't know what that means, ask your neighbor. And I'm probably the epitome of that. So for Rabbi Tucker, who didn't wear the Y tie, and Rabbi Deborah Walsh, who didn't wear her P tie, I am wearing my Harvard tie. And this is the tie that Harvard sent me when I applied. Along with 3 pages of... Come on, it was way too serious. In all honesty, when I met Rabbi Yechiel Ornstein, my family, my wife, and our son, and myself were members of Old Shalom in South Orange. Alex Shapiro was the Rav. And we were sister shuls. So occasionally, boy, my mouth dry. So occasionally, we would get the privilege of going to Bethel, or they get the privilege of coming to us. And the first time I saw Rabbi Yechiel Ornstein, I looked at a man, this soft, gentle soul. And when he spoke right to my heart. And blew me away. My congregants know that I'm an emotional cripple. Those of you who don't know me, you're seeing it. So when we were looking for a rabbi, and Rabbi Ornstein is wrong, I had nothing to do with her being hired, although I would thank God every second if that were true. We had about 60, 65 applications, and I see Deborah's application, and I'm reading it, and I know exactly who she is. And we're about to have a phone conversation with her at Naomi Weinberg's, I think, our president now, her office. We were in a big conference room, and I turned to the board and I said, if this apple did not fall far from the tree, this is a lock. And for those of you who don't know what a lock is, it's a gambling term for cannot lose. Thank you, Greg. Vodka, yes, no? So Sylvia and Yechiel, Rafi and Aviva, and certainly Deb, fell very close to the tree. And a congregation within Israel, all I can say is thank you, and thank you. I'm sorry, Rafi, I don't have any. The song I'm going to do is called the Rebbe Elimelech. Now actually, the Rebbe Elimelech was written in the 1800s about a rabbi named Elimelech Ornstein. And so since I really don't know who Elimelech Ornstein is, and even though Yechiel Ornstein doesn't rhyme with Freilech like Elimelech, Elimelech doesn't mean anything to me. So I'm going to change a couple of the words. Okay? And I apologize. Do I need the mic?
Yes.
Yes. That's the first time I heard that in my whole life. Ask my wife. Or my mother. That's the way the song went. Now the song goes different. As the Rabbi Yechiel Ornstein, nicht Elimelech Bornstein, Yechiel Ornstein, is geworden sehr freilich, Yechiel Ornstein. Hat ausgetan die Brillen und hat angetan die Tfillen und geschickt for the fiddlers, the 2 fiddlers, ja? Und die dicke Fiddles haben dicke Fiddle, haben dicke Fiddle, haben sie. Als die dicke Fiddle, dicke Fiddle, haben dicke Fiddle, haben sie. Now we're drinking a little more. And as the Rebbe Yechiel Ornstein, geht Geburtstag an Rabbi Yechiel Ornstein, ist geworden noch mehr freilich. Ist geworden noch mehr freilich, Yechiel Ornstein. Hat abgemacht Havdalah mit seinem Schames Reb Naftale und geschickt for the pipers, the 2 drummers. Und als der dicke Pipers haben dicke Pipers haben dicke Pipers haben sie. Als der dicke Pipers haben dicke Pipers haben dicke Pipers. Und als der Rebbe Yechiel Ornstein ist geworden noch stark freilich, ist geworden noch stark freilich Yechiel Ornstein. Hat ausgetan dem Kittel, hat ungetan dem Hittel, und geschickt für die Zimbels, die zwei Cymbal-Players. Und als der Cymbal-dicke Cymbals hat gezimbal-dicke Cymbal-dicke Cymbal haben sein. Als der Cymbal-dicke Cymbals hat gezimbal-dicke Cymbal, hat gezimbal-dicke Cymbal haben sein. Jetzt kennen Sie das Cantors. Und als der Rebbe Yechiel Ornstein ist geworden Sheker Freilich. Hast du gesehen, dass in deinem ganzen Leben Sheker of Rebbe Yechiel Ornstein? It took me a year and a half to call Mrs. Ornstein Sylvia. Would you call me Sylvia? Yes, Mrs. Ornstein. Would you call me Sylvia? Yes. So when I just asked her in Yiddish, Emo? Came. I asked her, because Sheker Freilich, he's drunk, so everything's, oh my God, I'm very happy. So I asked her in her life, did she ever see Rabbi Yechiel Ornstein Sheker? Came all, never. Oh, but yes, now, is Fad Pirim, it's just before Purim, and during Purim you're supposed to drink, so you can't tell the difference between Haman and Mordechai. So although I agree with you, knowing for the few years that I know you, getting Deborah in the back room and shooting vodka with us at our kids' club after Shabbos is tough. Craig, I have to twist his arm, but Deborah is a whole different world. Und als der Rebbe Yechiel Ornstein ist geworden Sheker Freilich, ist geworden Sheker Freilich Yechiel Ornstein, hat ausgedachte Nile, mit der Harz und dicke Tfile, und geschickt von der Klezmer die zwei. Und als der Fiddle-dicke Packers hat gezimmel-dicke Packers, Fiddle-dicke Packers haben sein. Als der Fiddle-dicke Packers hat gezimmel-dicke Fiddle, hat der Fiddle-dicke Packers haben sein. Als der Fiddle-dicke Packers hat der Fiddle-dicke Fiddle, hat der Fiddle-dicke Packers haben sein. Als der Fiddle-dicke Packers hat der Fiddle-dicke Packers, hat der Fiddle-dicke Fiddle haben sein.
They asked me if I would participate, and I thought I'd love to write a song for it. And I thought, well, what is my Abba? What has he been to everyone here? And he's been a teacher. And because it's being held at some Schechter Day School, I thought I'd write a song and be inspired by the fact that, how do you thank a teacher is the name of the song. My father's taught me many things. He's taught me how to graciously lose in chess many times. But most of all, he's taught me what he always says to people when he says goodbye, and that is, enjoy life. And that's the main thing that he's taught me. So here's the song, How Do You Thank a Teacher?
Can help you grow.
a work by Claude Debussy, France's leading composer at the turn of the 20th century. He used his imagination to create a work called Moonlight, and if you'll use your imagination and I'll use mine, I think we can hope to achieve what he had in mind. I selected this work because many, many moons ago, my claim to fame is that I know Yechiel longer than anybody in this room. Yechiel played this piece very beautifully when we were growing up. We used to fight who would practice first and who would practice second, but it didn't matter in the long run. So, Yechiel, this is for you, Debussy's Moonlight. next work, a short work of Claude Debussy, one of his 12 preludes, first published in 1910. And it's called Minstrels. Debussy could have used the word ménestrel, which is the French word for a minstrel. He didn't know very much English at all, but he wanted to give a sort of a nod to American jazz. And the indication in the music is to be played nervously and with humor. So you hear a lot of drumming going on, a little pop tune towards the end, all sorts of jerky rhythms, and something radically different from the Clair de Lune that we just heard. And as you all know, jazz is very cool, and so is my big brother. At the turn of the 20th century said, the goal in poetry is to suggest. That's the dream. So I'd like to do a little flight of fantasy in wishing Yechiel a happy birthday. Happy Birthday was actually written by 3 Kentucky school teachers at the turn of the 20th century. And it's probably one of the best known tunes ever written, even more famous than Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, if that's possible. So I'd like to imagine this tune being composed by Mozart around 1780, and then by Chopin around 1830, and last but not least, by Shostakovich in 1950.
got a special commendation from the New Jersey State Police. I'll read it for you. In honor of the outstanding support that you provided to Phil Ornstein to the State Police of New Jersey for over 35 years, in grateful appreciation for your outstanding commitment, dedication, and spiritual guidance to the New Jersey State Troopers from the Academy and throughout their careers. You will always be part of the State Police family, and your family will always be in our thoughts and prayers. I want to introduce now Rabbi Joseph Potasnik. My family and his family go back a very long way. My grandfather was one of the founding members of the New York Board of Rabbis, with which he has been affiliated and of which he has been the leader for many years. And we have relied on his deep Torah, his common sense, and his great good humor in many, many contexts. I will confess that when I moved back, repatriating back to New Jersey from the West Coast, I actually joined the New York Board of Rabbis even before I rejoined the New Jersey Board. And when I called Joe and asked if he could help us publicize to the rabbis of New York this event, he not only agreed to do that, he offered to come and give a blessing, which means so much to us. Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
Thank you. The truth is that Rabbi Ornstein called me and said, "Joe, do you believe in free speech?" I said, "Yes, I do." She said, "Good, come and give one." Secondly, I want to say Rabbi Ornstein has been a chaplain, as you just heard from that commendation. And I've been a chaplain as well. I was a chaplain of the federal prison of New York. As a matter of fact, I walked in today, I saw some familiar faces. And I just want to thank Rabbi Ornstein and the police department for helping me grow my congregation over those years. I had the fastest growing congregation in the Northeast, so thank you so much for that. I really come here to say thank you in a more serious fashion. Something, Rabbi Ornstein, you taught many of us, your colleagues. It's found that the high priest would have a robe with bells. The question is, why were there bells? To make music? I think the reason is to remind all of us in leadership positions that you have to make noise when you see something wrong. We often say on the subway train, if you see something, say something. Jewish tradition goes further and says you have to do something. I read something in a book written by Rabbi Deborah Ornstein and Rabbi Israel Mauschwitz. I thought I would quote from that book, but how could you disagree if I quoted from that book? But there I read that in the famous depiction of Moses by Michelangelo, there's a scar on the knee. Now, who fashioned the scar? Michelangelo. Why? Because, again, if you're a leader, you're going to have battle scars. Because you can't simply sit back and remain passive. As that famous line in the movie The King's Speech, I have a voice. You have to use that voice. And in that book, you'll also find that when you walk into the United Nations, there's a famous painting called Progress. I felt a very unusual venue to have a painting called Progress. But it's almost complete. There's a space incomplete in one area. And Rabbi Ornstein, I just want to say that you have been an exemplar to all of us of real progress, of reminding us that we have a responsibility to make noise and to help complete some of that empty space. Rabbi Tucker brilliantly spoke today of law and love. The law says, as all of you know, Shema Yisrael and Lo Eloheinu Elohei Echad. But love says to us, as you taught us, Rabbi Ornstein, Shema Yisrael, Yisrael Aminu, Yisrael Echad. That we are the people of Israel, and we have to try to stay as one people. So on behalf of the New York Board of Rabbis, in the state of New Jersey here, and I never thought the light at the end of the tunnel would be New Jersey. I want to present Rabbi Yechiel Orenstein, New York Board of Rabbis Lifetime Achievement Award. One person's candle is a light for many on this day. Thank you for teaching us the law. Thank you for also teaching us how to love. We are most grateful as your students.
How would you like to say it?
You are the true hero today, are the true hero today, because there is a child who will become a bench because you came today. You are my hero. I respect everyone here. Your power, strength.
You may have heard as you walked in Barry Ottenstein playing guitar, and he is now going to accompany Perry Fine, who wants to present a little bit of a musical surprise. And following that around, one of my mother's favorite songs, both for the melody and even more so, I think, for the sentiment. It's the Hebrew on the front of your program, and it's also in transliteration and in translation on the back. Hayamim chlofim shana overet, aval hamanuna le'olam yisheret. And we took that as our watchword. Days and years pass, but the melody remains forever. That's what Solomon Schechter Day School is all about, keeping the melody going. And if you look at the front cover in the small print, if you brought your glasses, you can see it says that Chaplain Jerry Orenstein, not yet Yechiel, popular, learned, and witty, will conduct the Shabbat Eve service. So you can see some things never change.
Rabbi Orenstein's last service at Bethel 6 or 7 years ago was a June date, and the synagogue was packed, as you can imagine. And I think Reverend Thompson was there, and he spoke with an invited guest. And then towards the end, Rabbi Orenstein got up. He said a few words, but then he started singing, and he sang to Sylvia, a song dedicated to Sylvia. And then he got off the bima and started dancing with her in the aisles. We were in shock, but not in shock. It just seemed so right. This is the song that he sang on that occasion. Not nearly as well as he did, but. It's very clear our love is here to stay, not for our years, but ever and ever. The radio and the television and the movies that may just be passing fancy, and in time may go. But Almighty, our love is here to stay. Together we going a long, long way. is here to stay. Not for I need whatever and day. In time, the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble, they're only made of clay. Our love is here too. Our love is here too. Our love is here to
Here's our pitch. Hayamim hovim shana overet. That repeats. Hayamim hovim shana overet. Aval hamanina, aval hamanina, aval hamanina, v'yolam nisheret. By George, I think they've got it.
do it. We're going to do it as a round. Yes? First, we'll go all the way through once, and
then we'll try it.
1, 2, 3. You're 1, you're 2, you're 3. Good luck.
Hayamim hovim shana overet. Hayamim hovim shana overet. Aval hamanina, aval hamanina, aval hamanina, v'yolam nisheret. Hayamim hovim shana overet. Hayamim hovim shana overet. Aval hamanina, aval hamanina, aval hamanina, v'yolam nisheret. Hayamim hovina, aval hamanina, hayamim hovina, v'yolam overet. Aval hamanina, aval hamanina, aval hamanina, v'yolam nisheret. Aval hamanina, aval hamanina, aval hamanina, v'yolam
Good pieces of advice that my father once gave me when I was up against a major life decision. He said, never make any important decision on the basis of money. By giving today to the Solomon Schefter Day School of Berkeley County, you will help ensure that Jewish families don't have to decide the future for their kids based on finances. And this is a great tribute to my father, to his teachings, and it really will keep the melody going. I also invite all of you to go on YechielOrensteinInspires.com, where you can both donate and then upload and download and view and work and see all the many good works that are being done in my father's honor. You can take on a Torah project of learning. You can announce your intentions for prayer practice in his honor. You can do acts of kindness, or you can report about what you've done with him and through him over the years. Thank you so much, and please enjoy the reception. Happy birthday.
Coffee?